The rain hadn't stopped since Elias Thorne had first walked into Abernathy's antique shop a year ago. It seemed to cling to the city, a perpetual shrub mirroring the growing unease that had settled within Abernathy's soul. Now the melody drifted from the shop's open door, a distant, unsettling counterpoint to the rhythmic drumming of rain on the awning. It wasn't a tune Abernathy recognized, though the chilling familiarity of it burrowed deep beneath his skin. He's been watching Thorne, of course. A private investigator, the man had called himself, hired to look into a few irregularities. Abernathy had initially dismissed him as another eccentric seeking rare artifacts, but Thorne's relentless questioning, the obsessive gleam in his eyes as he examined the music box, the frantic scribbling in his notebooks, it had all been a warning sign, a growing dread. Now, Thorne stood within the shop, but it wasn't the man Abernathy remembered. The subtle lengthening of his fingers was the first detail to register the unnatural stillness of his posture, the too bright, unwavering gaze. The veins beneath his skin pulsed with a sickly black light, visible through the thin fabric of his coat. The familiar cadence of his voice was gone, replaced by a flat, toneless delivery. The preparations are complete, Thorne, or whatever remained of him stated, his eyes fixed on Abernathy. The old man stumbled backward, knocking over a stack of porcelain dolls. What have you done to yourself? Transformation, Thorne replied, the word devoid of emotion. A necessary step. He gestured toward a shadowed corner of the shop, revealing Silas, the Blackwood Manor groundskeeper. Silas, previously a man of few words and perpetually stooped shoulders, now stood ramrod straight, his eyes glowing with the same unsettling light as Thorne's. He seemed to be a statue, unnervingly still. Silas has been lying, Thorne continued. He understands his purpose. Abernathy's mind struggled to grasp the horror unfolding before him. He knew with a certainty that chilled him to the bone that this wasn't about a simple case, a stolen artifact, or a personal vendetta. This was something far older, far more sinister. What purpose? Abernathy managed to croak out, his voice trembling. Re-establishment, Thorne said, his gaze sweeping across the shop's dusty shelves, pausing briefly on the music box. The connection must be re-established. He began to pace, the floorboards creaking beneath his elongated limbs. For centuries the network lay dormant, the veil thinned, allowing glimpses, whispers, but the connection, the channel, it requires focus, requires anchors. He stopped, his gaze looking onto Abernathy's. You possess a resonance, a willingness to facilitate. Abernathy's legs felt like lead. He tried to back away further, but the walls of the shop seemed to shrink, closing in on him. What are you talking about? The old ones are restless, Thorne replied, a flicker of something, a memory, perhaps, crossing his face, quickly replaced by the blank serenity of his current state. They require renewal. He extended a hand, his fingers twitching. The ritual is nearing completion. The final act requires a willing participant. The rain intensified, hammering against the windows. The music box began to spin faster, the dissonant melody reaching a fever pitch. Abernathy felt a strange pull, a dizzying sense of disorientation. He looked at Silas, then back at Thorne, his mind desperately searching for a way out, a way to understand what was happening. I don't want to be part of this, Abernathy whispered, his voice barely audible above the din. Thorne's expression didn't change. Resistance is futile. Your role is predetermined. You are a conduit. He began to approach, his movements slow and deliberate. Abernathy closed his eyes, bracing himself for the inevitable. But then he heard a different sound, a sharp crack, followed by a groan. He opened his eyes to see Silas sprawled on the floor, his glowing eyes extinguished. A shattered porcelain doll lay beside him, his painted face cracked and distorted. Thorne paused, his head tilting slightly. An unexpected interruption. He turned his gaze back to Abernathy, his expression unreadable. The process will require adjustments. The music box abruptly stopped, leaving an echoing silence in its wake. Abernathy seized the opportunity, scrambling to his feet and bolting toward the door. He didn't look back, not even when he heard Thorne's measured footsteps pursuing him. He burst out onto the rain-swept street, gasping for air. He ran blindly, not knowing where he was going, only knowing that he had to escape. He glanced over his shoulder, but Thorne was nowhere to be seen. He stumbled into a darkened alleyway, collapsing against a brick wall, his body trembling with exhaustion and terror. He listened intently, but only the relentless drumming of the rain filled the silence. He knew that he hadn't escaped. He knew that Thorne, or whatever he had become, would be back. He had glimpsed something ancient and terrible, something that threatened to consume everything he knew. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled photograph. It was a picture of his late wife taken years ago. He clutched it tightly, a desperate attempt to hold on to something real, something human. He knew that he had to do something. He had to find a way to stop Thorne, to sever the connection, to prevent the old ones from awakening. But he was just one man, an antique dealer with no knowledge of ancient rituals or cosmic horrors. He looked up at the rain-soaked sky, a single desperate thought echoing in his mind. Asterisk, your world is no longer yours to protect. Asterisk. He stood, a renewed sense of grim determination settling within him. The rain continued to fall, washing away the grime of the city, but it couldn't wash away the fear that now clung to his soul. The fight had only just begun.